Hello there, good evening and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Tonight on the program, we turn our focus to the growing tension in the state of the nation. While insecurity continues to spiral and public consternation about the performance of the government continues to grow, the Tinubu administration has been facing a lot of backlash, especially with accusations over a hyper-focus on the 2027 election, just midway into a 4-year term. And the political arena is taking a different dimension. The coalition group has formally written to the electoral umpire of its plans to register a new political party, one that has been pushed by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the immediate past governor of Kaduna State, and from the southern part of the country. Some of the prominent figures include former minister and former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amaechi. What does this mean for the APC, a party that continues to unravel against the backdrop of who might be on the ticket and who might not be, especially with anticipation around the fate of the vice president? So what does this mean for Nigeria and Nigerians going forward? Well, to help us navigate some of these issues, we're joined by an APC stalwart. Adamu Garba II is joining us for this conversation. As always, a pleasure. Thank you so much for stopping by this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you again.
Thank you.
Let's start on the big note, which is, everything that has happened this week. You've seen the devastating events in Benue, one that is not necessarily new, but one that has been re-echoed over and over again. And there are several states that you can point to where the story is almost the same. Attacks that continue unabated while the government is saying it is making progress. Do you feel that there is a disconnect between the government's side of the story and what Nigerians feel is the reality on ground?
Frankly speaking, there is a little bit of disconnect between what is the reality on the ground and what is the actual story. The reality on the ground is that there is a serious political tension in Benue State that is giving rise to this rapid insecurity, the escalation of insecurity. And that is why if you look at the president's composure and determined speech when he went there, he was critically asserting the need for political reconciliation between the political warring parties. He mentioned that you, Mr. Governor, you have to set up a committee of elders that will bring everyone on board. Because at the end of the day, the crisis in Benue State is not what people think as the Fulani bandits attack. It's there, but it's actually not only that. You have historical antecedents between the Jukun and the thieves that is still very much prevalent. And you also have historical rivalry between the thieves and Idoma. All those factors contributed to what you are seeing there in the insecurity crisis. And when you come to the political class, you have a two camp that are very, very strong. You have the secretary to the government of the federation, who is George Akume, who is one of the Nigeria's most prolific institutional knowledge holder in the Fourth Republic, because he has never missed office from 1999 till today. He was a governor twice, he was a senator twice, he was a minister throughout Buhari's administration, and now he's the SGF. Now, this same person was the undisputed political leader in Benue State. Through his platform, the governor emerged. And incidentally, the governor used to be his pastor. So there is this contestation about who is the shepherd now. I used to be your pastor, so I am supposed to be the shepherd. And then the SGF is saying, no, this is not a pulpit, this is a political ground. The fact that you left the pulpit and shifted into political ground, your allegiance stay with me. So in this case, if I were the governor, I should be able to accept the reality on the ground, that my allegiance should be to the party leader, who is George Akume in my state, and then work with him to find solution to most of the challenges that is happening. But the situation whereby the two camps are completely in disarray, and the camp of the other is inflaming situation against the other, and the other too is inflaming situation against one another. So that is where you are seeing this.
Do you believe there is a politicization of the problem?
Exactly, it's actually political.
Because the governor alluded to that. He said there are some people in Benue State today who would not mind capitalizing on this misfortune for a declaration of a state of emergency, for instance, right?
Yeah, that's correct. The governor said that. But then the governor also need to be inclusive. And that is why the president informed him very clearly there. You are not here to blame someone. You should have yourself to blame. The president keeps saying that I am the president and I take responsibility for the nation. You are the governor, you are the chief security officer of the state. You are not supposed to pass a blame. You are supposed to find problem. And the only way to find problem is to cross the boundaries. You don't stay in your enclave and begin to blame people for the insecurity in the name of politics.
Yeah, but if you zoom out, the president is doing exactly the same thing. He's the commander-in-chief.
Yes.
And he's passing the buck to the Benue State governor, who, constitutionally speaking, has no authority over the police or the Nigerian army or the security agencies.
No. Let me explain to you this. The president have the citizens as the Federal Republic of Nigeria, while the state governors have indigents. You know this dichotomize this.
Benue is a part of Nigeria, isn't it?
Benue is a part of Nigeria. Every citizen, every member of Benue is a citizen of Nigeria. But these are indigenous crises. It's intertribal crisis. So it has to do with indigenous problem. So as the person that manages indigenship, you are supposed to coordinate your indigents around a board so that you can find a common solution. And that's why I love the president's speech from the beginning to the end, because it was determined, it was statemently, it was mature, it was responsible, it was aptly communicated.
A lot of people will say it was also unable to hit the nail on the head, because when the Torti spoke, he spoke about how there is a misdiagnosis, so to say, of the problems. And that's why the application of the solution is always missing the mark. If you misdiagnose, then it obviously means that whatever it is you're trying to apply with your prognosis might be faulty. He said there is a genocidal agenda. This whole communal clash, herder farmers, is oversimplifying the problem. He's saying that there is a genocidal agenda to grab lands, to push people out of their ancestral homes. And when the president was speaking, he seems to be, painting a different picture. Because
it's not the case. It doesn't make sense. The president have more security report.
You think Torti doesn't know what he's talking about?
He knows what he's talking about, but this same narrative has been happening since during Orton, right? And it's been happening again ab initio since during Obasanjo, that there is this genocidal agenda where some group of people want to grab land. Now, are you going to say places like Sokoto where you have crisis, and places like Zamfara where you have crisis, or Katsina where they are predominantly Fulanis are also trying to grab land in their own land? So we shouldn't politicize or try to paint a certain ethnic group as responsible for the crisis.
All the cases are the same.
All the cases is ethnic issue, and they have to come together and fix their problems. And I really like, as I said, the president. In fact, you said the president backed the book. He didn't. Right there, the president called all the head of the security services who are under the coordination of the National Security Advisor, Maladun Ribado. And he mentioned, he even called NSA, please take responsibility, do this, and do this.
Some say they were not particularly impressed. It was quite performative.
No.
Some even say it was eye service. No. That, he didn't need to do that in the public.
No.
I mean, because we know that when it comes to security, there's a lot more than, we need to make arrests.
To be very candid with you, the president has not delivered a speech that gave me so much confidence about fixing the security problem than that one, because he didn't even read from the script. He spoke from his heart. He spoke as a leader who genuinely cares for the plight of the people.
You don't think it was a performance?
I don't think it's a performance. It's reality. This is the man that is not reading the script. He is telling you his heart. He will look at the governor in his eyes and keep mentioning him, Mr. Governor this, Mr. Governor this, Mr. Governor, giving references, elderly advice based on experiences that this is what you should do. And I believe the governor have had him. And by the grace of God, this security crisis will now be nipped in the bud.
What about his inability to visit the scene of the crime, or the scene of the tragedy, or the scene of this horrendous act that has grabbed national attention? He said, quote, he was unable to go because of bad weather conditions, bad roads and things like that. But there are many other figures that were able to do that. And for the most part, I don't know, you watched the protests from Yele Tower, which is the area affected by the recent attacks. Were you somewhat disappointed that the president couldn't make it to the area of, the main story?
I don't think there's any disappointment. Why? Because that day that the president was scheduled to go there, there is even a video circulating online where there was flooding on the way, serious flooding on the way between...
We do have a presidential chopper, don't we?
No, so the presidential chopper, where is it going to land? In water?
Come on.
Do you want to go and land in water? Do you know the consequences?
I mean, the entire LA Tower is not necessarily flooded.
Do you know the consequences?
You're saying that if the president wanted to.
Do you know the consequences of
we had the vice president in Mokwa, and he also used the presidential chopper, right?
Yeah, but what vice president visited Mokwa after a long period of time, after the flooding was abated. So he went there to console.
Yeah, but this was no flooding issue,
when
right?
it was very active, and nobody have control over weather conditions. This is force majeure. The president intended.
But you can understand the frustration of those who say that, you know, he stopped halfway.
No, but the president mentioned that I want to go, but because of the weather condition, I am unable to go. And it is there because it was weather. Are we going to hold the, you know, the nature of God responsible for bringing a bad weather at the day when the president intended to go to Yelwata?
Yeah, but do you understand the frustration of people who are disappointed that he didn't make it?
I completely understand the frustration of the people, but the people should understand that nature have taken its course and that we have to also respect nature. Even in law, there is something called force majeure in agreement. So it's a situation of force majeure. Nobody can do anything about it. It's the art of God.
And then there were protests about those who were displaced by this unfortunate development, about lack of feeding and amenities that they need. Talk to me about, you know, the whole approach to emergency situations like this, whether it's a flooding in Mokwa, for instance, where the government made this big announcement about financial support, infrastructural support, and so on and so forth. And you see what's happening in Benue, and they say, listen, we're going to give you support, redevelopment, and so on and so forth. But you speak to people who are directly impacted, they say nothing is actually happening. There's a big gap between the pronouncements and what is actually happening on the ground.
You see, once there's a presidential pronouncement, these are procedural structures. You have to pass through order. Nigeria is not a society where you have this Babylonian disorder. There is a structure, there is order, there is principles, there are policies that governs every activity. The right agency will absolutely be communicated, and they will carry out the responsibilities. And funding will have to be provided, logistics will have to be made available, and then you also have to provide all the necessary infrastructure support to get it done. It's not something that will just be at the snap of a finger. It has to take, you know, a procedure. And the fact that announcement has been made and actions has been taken, I think people should wait a little bit to see the outcome.
But isn't that the whole definition of emergency? Yes. That you're not supposed to approach it like the usual, you know, scenario, right?
Yes, the approach of
so you cut the red tape
is to act immediately, and action has already taken place. Now implementation is another thing. You went to Moka. If you go to Moka, you see that it's actually something, a place isolated, and most of the bridges were broken as a result of the flooding, and so many houses, you know, were destroyed. So many families lost their lives. It's very serious tragedy. It's an unfortunate situation, right? So you don't expect the logistical arrangement to be also like a snap of a finger. It has to take some time. And I think that the president have taken action. The people of Moka, no matter the situation that happened, it is actually very bad situation. I sympathize deeply with what happened. Actually, it's a very regrettable situation. But then the president has taken action, and I believe by the grace of God, we should have a fix to this issue.
What about the idea that there is this hyper-focus on 2027 by the administration, especially with the president, for instance, that at any gathering he finds himself, there's always that sense that he's trying to be political with some of the comments that he is making. Do you believe that the president has become one with just a tunnel vision for winning 2027 when there are more serious issues that need his attention?
Yeah, so the thing is, right, when you look at the serious issues that needed attention, which one is it that is unattended to?
I mean, like the insecurity, for instance.
The insecurity in Nigeria has recorded one of the most significant reductions that we have seen in a very long time.
Significant?
I'm telling you this. Because you need to look at
we had more abductions in 2024 than we had in 2023.
Now, that is abduction. Now, let's go back to the statistics. Yesterday, Adamu was even on Arise TV. If you look at the study from 2019, when Buhari came second term, to 2021, there were almost like, I think, 12,000 fatalities. When it comes to Buhari's last part, between 2021 to 2023, you have 17,900 fatalities. Now, Tinubu's 2023 to 2025, that's 2 years, approximately, you have 17,011 fatalities. It means that the astronomical rise that was recorded between 2019 to 2023 has been tamed. Right? There is slight reduction, but there's a reduction. It means that the major escalation points has been tackled. And with the coordination that we have from the NSA, who is very, absolutely efficient in handling this security by looking at not just kinetic, but non-kinetic, communal, person-to-person, individual-to-individual, community-to-community level engagement. That is why we are having this rapid reduction. And prior to coming of this government, many people cannot even travel from Lagos to Kaduna, Abuja to Kaduna. You know about that. You know about several abductions.
I mean, it hasn't been so for a while.
No. Now, how many people travel to Kaduna? Did the president even went to Kaduna yesterday? Different entourage. How many people? Almost on daily basis, you have traffic going to Kaduna, and there are no any attack. In Zamfara, you hardly have this mass abduction that we used to have. Then they go to school and capture all the children in that institution. Now you hardly hear those kind of things. The bandits have been pushed back. And when you look at the security situation in the Sahel, you have one of the most dreaded terror organizations, 4 of them, that are wreaking havoc in the Sahel. The fact that they are not even able to come to Nigeria when you take to ISWAP, JANIM, IGIS, and Messina Liberation Front, MLF. The fact that they are not even able to cross over into Nigeria to wreak the havoc they are wreaking in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger.
I hope you're not challenging them.
What?
I hope you're not challenging them.
We are not. No. What I mean is that,
because the CDS...
There are institutional challenges. There are institutional structure that has been put in place that deny them the opportunity to come in. In fact, when you look at the African Strategic Studies report on the security situation between the border in Nigeria border, the traffic that was recorded in 2021, 2022 alone, the amount of money that is expected that these bandits are making from gold, about 725 kg of gold, gave them nearly $68 million. But now all those things are denied. They don't have access to so many things. They don't have access to the capacities they used to have. They don't have easy entry and exit that they used to do. So these are the challenges. The fact that we are able to hold them at the border and push them back, I think we should commend the effort of this government. Otherwise, when you look at 250 million people in Nigeria, and then we share a border of almost 2 million kilometers, 2,000 kilometers between us and these countries where this crisis is happening. Yet, we don't have that massive level of attacking, destruction of government property coming into our country. I think the security situation in this country is very strongly improving.
Some would say it's the calm before the storm, or at least, a lull. If there's a worst case scenario, things could get bad really, really fast. Because if you factor in what the Minister of Interior said, just a couple of days ago, I believe, this past week, when he was referencing the Nigerian border and the limited funding we have, he said the stretch of the line itself makes it so easy for people to just cross in and out of this country because we don't have the infrastructure to man the borders. The CDS also re-echoed the same sentiment, saying that, listen, we have such a massive border. What most people do if they have the resources is to have a fencing that allows them some level of control, right, in terms of movement of persons across these borders. So, is it safe to say that we might be recording something now, but there's a very bigger problem on the horizon? Because we've seen our security situation relapse over time. Even under the Buhari administration, for instance, we've recorded some significant gains, and then some years down the line, things went bad again. So what are the chances that things could go bad again? Yes,
that is why you see one thing not that because I'm part of APC, but I really like this government, is because it's sincere. The Minister of Interior came out and bare it all. He doesn't have to do that. If he wants to just be political, he wants to be real. And the CDS also is mentioning the need for us to establish a border, right? It's going to cost a lot of money to do that. And in the modern era, you even have a geofencing technology that can be able to monitor and man borders. You know, you have long borders in the world, especially borders between Russia and China around Vladivostok. It's one of the longest borders, but you don't, and there are forests in between, but you don't get in because there are some technology monitoring system that will automatically scan every person coming in and going out and check him against the database. If it is a local, he will reflect on NIN. If it is international, it reflects on the international passport database. So we can be able to put technology to tame them pending when we have the resources to build physical structure. Because building physical structure could be sexy, but it's not too efficient because President Trump has done something similar, right? But then that doesn't stop when Biden came. Over 8 million people are able to come to America through the same border. So what we do is you have to create a technology fencing mechanism that will check anybody that is coming in and out. AI can scan millions of people per second and then give you these people, check them against the database and authenticate whether they are locals or not. If they are not locals, do they have records in the international system? If they are not, then you tag them and then you track them. So all those things can happen. And the fact that the government is being sincere about the challenges means that the government truly want to address these challenges. And the fact that you are seeing a rapid reduction in insecurity, I think if we don't comment what security agencies are doing in Nigeria, especially under the leadership of Malam Nuribadu, I think we are not being fair to ourselves as Nigerians.
Well, I mean, it depends on who you ask, right? People who have lost their loved ones would not have any cause to believe that there is a rapid reduction in insecurity, because the reality is quite telling.
Of course, people that lost their loved ones, they will feel the pain. It's true. And all of us Nigerians, we are supposed to be one family, and we are supposed to feel the pain of one another. A loss of a Nigerian anywhere is a loss for all Nigerians everywhere. We all lost. But the truth of the matter is, steps have been taken, and a very strong commitment is being put in place to ensure that the record of insecurities we had during the previous era do not come back again. And I think it's working. So what we should do is to keep our good wishes and keep supporting the government effort to make sure that we record the security that we need so that we can continue to live our lives happily as we should be doing.
Let's switch gears now and talk some politics, right? I mean, all of this conversation has an undertone of politics in it. Your party is dealing with an internal issue. I mean, some of your stalwarts will say it's not a big issue at all. People are making a storm out of a teacup. The ticket war. The presidency came out to clear the air. Bayo Onanuga said, listen, the president will announce his running mate after the party convention. And the lead up to that, we saw members of the APC from your zone particularly exchange blows over lack of endorsement of the vice president. Where do you stand on this whole conundrum about whether Kashim Shettima is going to be on the ticket in 2027?
The truth of the matter is, this is an issue of law. Party is an organ that is regulated by the Constitution of Nigeria through INEC. And the structure of party states that you have one ticket, and that ticket is the presidential ticket. The president is the one with absolute prerogative to choose who he wants to continue with as a running mate. That is the president's prerogative. So nobody has right to say that I'm entitled to the prerogative that the Constitution has vested on Mr. President. So Mr. President should be allowed to choose who he wants to be as a running mate. So what the issue of trying to enforce, maybe you have to go together with the existing vice president, doesn't even arise. And I don't think even the vice president himself is interested in this kind of topic at the current moment, because he knows that by the Constitution, by the law, by the party structure, it is the president's prerogative.
But there is no, as you know, we Nigerians love our idioms, right? There is no smoke without fire. Obasanjo didn't have to, it wasn't open-ended. We pretty much know that Atiku was going to be on the ticket in 2003, right?
After a lot of back and forth.
Yeah.
You know that.
But, of course, the conversation was much more tilted. It was thought that the vice president could actually be the candidate, but, they ran again, right?
Yeah, so that's it.
With Goodluck and Yar'Adua, they didn't get to, another election together. Point, But Goodluck and Namadi Sambo, there was no second guessing. He was going to be on the ticket. This was not an issue. Buhari or Sibanjo, it was not an issue. So clearly there's something amiss here for this to be a national conversation about whether Kashim Shettima is going to be... since the past presidents did not have to deal with this, why is the Tinubu administration peculiar in this sense?
No, I think because of lack of understanding of the system. You know, in that particular program.
On whose part?
On the part of the supporters of the vice president. Because on this part, when you see what happened in that place, it's more of a thuggery. Because it's a party occasion. It was a zonal occasion. I was even supposed to be there, even though because I had one serious thing that I need to attend to in Lagos. I was supposed to be there. It was a clear thing. This wasn't just taking place. This didn't just took place in Northeast. It took place in North Central at the presidency, where the same president was endorsed. It was done in the Northwest, where the same president was endorsed. There was no any question of whatever. And then it went to the Northeast. What they did in the Northeast was to just pick the template that is already happening so that our zone too can.
But do you understand that it's the zone of the vice president? This is where he comes from. It is the zone of
the vice president, but nothing can happen outside the law. Nothing can happen outside.
Even a symbolic gesture, you think, is out of place?
The symbolic, now, I'm coming. The issue is about what Comrade Saliu Mustafa did. Comrade Saliu Mustafa communicated the interests of the APC zonal committee, because the zone owns the ticket by party. And don't forget, immediately after Comrade Saliu Mustafa left, Dalori was invited, who is the deputy chairman not of APC. He could say Kashim Shatima and President Tinubu, and nothing will happen. It is just a matter of prerogative. What Comrade Saliu Mustafa was communicating is the official position of the zone, because the zone actually owns the ticket. After the official communication, every other person can stand up and make a speech. The governor, we have how many governors here? We have 3 governors. All of them are APC governors, strong APC governors. Even Governor Zulum was there. Governor Zulum is obviously the supporter of Vice President. He expresses his support, and that's okay. Now, those that are communicating officially will have to remain official. Otherwise, they are violating the law that governs the party, for which gives them the power to make this communication in the first place. So what Saliu Mustafa did was just to communicate the position of the party through the angle of the law, not through the angle of sentiment or politics. If he had done something otherwise, it will have been that he is violating the law of the party for which he has the power to present. I think what he did was actually right. Is
there a chance that this tension could snowball into something quite significant that will amount to a division within the APC?
I don't think so, because all those things are just supporters. You know, in politics,
you're saying supporters like they don't matter.
No. It's like there are some sycophants that want to show that we are loyalists, we will die with you no matter what. So those are the people that are just trying to show their own solidarity, but albeit in a thuggish way. And that was wrong, right? But it will never snowball into any problem, because the president and the vice president has enjoyed a very good working relationship, very mutually understanding. In fact, they are mutually complementary, and the reciprocal responsibilities between them has been smooth so far. You heard from the speech of Bayo Onanuga. He mentioned it clearly. Almost all the people that came and spoke about it, they stated it. There is no rancor. Ismail Ahmed, the former party youth leader, was in Channel CB. There was no rancor. Anybody that understands the workings of the system know that there is no problem between the president and the vice president. They are just supporters feigning their angers, and they shouldn't be thuggish.
I mean, some have also made the point, just as you said, Barrister Ismail Ahmed also made the point that what is happening right now is self-inflicted. The APC doesn't need to endorse the president, because it's almost the understanding that he gets the ticket.
That's correct.
He has the right of first refusal. If he doesn't want to run again, he could simply say he doesn't want to run again, and then the party would consider opening it up. But the ticket is almost certainly going to be his. So this whole endorsement thing is stating the obvious and, you know, charging the atmosphere itself. But talk to me about the perception that the president is now being looked at from a different lens, where some of his aides are now leaving the government and are telling a very critical story about, you know, the belief that many APC people like you have in the administration. I mean, you had prominent figures like Dr. Baba Hakim, for instance, who left. Most recently is the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Public Affairs, Dr. Aliyu Audu, and he has some very critical things to say about the president, about his political alliances with certain political figures, and so on and so forth. Are you anyway concerned about the people that are leaving the government on their own integrity?
Yes, I will start by the point where you say that the president doesn't need endorsement, right? We are politicians. And in politics, there is a reaction, there's an action, and there is a reaction. There is always a corresponding responsibility between these two angles. The opposition began to charge the political climate. They were all over talking about coalition, visiting each other, rallying themselves, organizing themselves, having different meetings, and talking about their possible presidential team. Now, the APC decided to say, fine, we are not going to leave you like that. Let us also show you that we support our president. It is not the president that called for the endorsement. It is the willing opinion and choice of party leadership that say that we are endorsing the president.
Some would say
now,
this smacks of insecurity.
No.
You're insecure about...
No. It's just, that's why I say that. It's a reaction to the action that is taking place by the opposition. If the opposition had decided to allow governance to flow, nothing like that would happen. And the issue of the aides leaving the government, this is expected. You can't expect to enter a small bus, from Nyanya to maybe Zuba, and all of you reach Zuba, except if your destination is there. Some people will drop on the road. So it's not a problem. And the fact that they have their choices, these are individual choices, and that is one good thing that you need to give to the APC. It respects people's opinion. So you are in the government, you disagree, you leave, nobody castigates you.
Well, what does that say about the president's leadership?
No, he said nothing. It shows that the president actually allows everybody to express himself the way he feels, right? And the fact that you don't find it comfortable based on your conscience, according to what most of them have said, both Hakim Baba Ahmed, who's an elder statesman, the respected one I like so much, and at the same time also Ali Audu, who is my comrade. We have been in a party thing with him for long. It's their choice. They choose a different path, and good luck to them. But that will not stop the president from winning 2027.
And you don't think it demarcates his brand?
At all. In fact, it's like kind of a filtering. Like those that are not here, they are supposed to give, to live, so that the only people that are there that we trust can now continue with us. And that's okay. All right.
This is, of course, the latest development. The coalition, the National Opposition Coalition Group led by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, Nasir Rufai, and a host of others have formally applied to the Independent National Electoral Commission for the registration of a new political party. It is going to be called the All Democratic Alliance. Your quick reaction to this one?
It's actually a good development. It's a nice thing to happen to democracy. Nigerian democracy is transforming, and I like the fact that they are trying to play the script of APC, and they are trying to challenge, of course now, the script of APC.
APC was a merger.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What they are trying to do is not more than that. It was a merger. It was a coalition, then merger, then formed into a single party. It is the same thing that they're trying to do. You have PDP guys.
Put together by individuals, not political parties. This could be the logo, but we've also seen a different one. Yeah. I'm not sure about this one.
It's like this is an APC logo now. This looks like an APC logo.
Well, it's ADA. We don't know if this is going to be the last, the final cut.
The thing is that it's actually a good thing. To me, I think it's a good thing. It is very important that the one thing that I like is that they are copying exactly Tinubu's strategy and pasting it. And we that are in technology, I understand intellectual property right. Once you copy somebody's intellectual property, you are doomed to fail.
Yeah, but
you are copying
but the people spearheading this were also the same people that helped form the APC. So
yeah,
you can't possibly think that Tinubu is the one that thought of APC.
No. But how is APC? Where was the root of APC? APC started from AD. Then from that AD, when there was an issue with the AD establishment, there was an AC. Then there was an ACN. Then that's when you now have the root that formed the alliance that brought in CPC. And then you now have some people in the PDP, that moved, and then ABGA that moved, AMPP that moved, and then they now formed the APC. Now, when you talk about the baseline, the outlining structure that gave them the framework, the platform to come and form this APC was from Tinubu's script. So what they are doing now is that they are copying the same script. So I don't know how you copy somebody's intellectual property and defeat him.
But this is not necessarily a new idea, isn't it? Yes. In politics.
Yes,
we've seen alliances, we've seen coalitions.
Yes, but in
Nigeria.
In this Fourth Republic, right? In this Fourth Republic, this is the first time. And coalition was formed from obviously a negligible opposition a one-party opposition with one senator at the Federal Republic to dominating the entire political scene with almost all the governors in the country in that coalition. And now they are governing party. And then you now decided to say, I want to copy and also succeed like them when they are 10 years in government.
How worried are you as an APC man that this might actually work?
Yes.
Like you might know the game plan because you perfected it or you used it back in 2013, 2014 to win 2015.
Yes.
And that you've seen the other side apply the same strategy and perhaps do it a little better with, you know, the benefit of experience. How worried are you that this might actually work?
Yes, it's possible because in politics, they say that a small snake is a snake. Whether it's big or small, if you leave it, it will grow and still bite. So it's still a snake. So, and I like the fact that our supreme leader in APC, who is the president, he's somebody that doesn't take opposition, you know, with a pinch of salt. He took them seriously. So I think we're going to give them a good fight. And to me, the fact that democracy is forming a shape and we are now about to witness a rise of a new party from obscurity to at least some certain level, right? I think it's a good deal. But the chances of winning is so vague because in politics it's game of reality. It's not an idealism. The whole thing about formation of the party is a game of idealism. We're idealistic, we think we can capture. Now, what is the reality on the ground? Are you going to defeat 22 governors that control the structures of the state? And most of the governors are returning governors together with the president? It's
been done before.
How? Where?
APC did it.
That's why I'm saying, go back to APC. In APC, the entire Southwest was APC prior to that merger. Then in the North, we have some states,
don't you
especially
think,
Kano.
with the benefit of hindsight, of what happened in 2023, because people like you use that same argument, that you need these structures to win. And, you know, much was said about Peter Obi's lack of structure. But he still got 6-point-something million votes at the end of the day, which is no small feat.
It's not small feat. It's not small feat.
So is there a chance that, you know, the rules are no longer what they used to be?
The rules are never longer what they used to be, but the momentum that Peter Obi has in 2023 has been neutralized.
How so?
Completely neutralized. Now, on what party is Peter Obi going to? Is he going to be the president? Or is going to be the vice president?
I mean, it's up to you to guess.
So this is it. So that's the question. Now, how is he going to galvanize the support, the basis for which he campaigned, the fear that he mongers, because he carried fear mongering and frightened many Nigerians to be afraid that if this government come, your end has come, and then nothing changed. In fact, most of his people benefited more from this government than they ever benefited from previous governments in history, the people in the Southeast. So what incentive do they have to throw away the one they know against the hope that is being sold to them that is hardly ever going to be realistic? They will have to follow what is realism, and that is why you see the entire Southeast is consolidating behind the president. But the previous governors and the existing governors
based on what exactly?
Did you hear who is the chairman of Progressive Governors Forum?
The Imo State governor.
What did he say? He was the one that started endorsing the president.
Yeah, but it's one thing for political figures to endorse an individual. It's another thing to say that that is a reflection of what the people are saying.
Now, the people had a palpable fear prior to emergence of the government of President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2023. They thought that the Muslim ticket is going to alienate them, is going to destroy the Southeast, is going to this. That's what Peter Obi marketed. And he got this massive support based on fear-mongering.
I'm not sure that's fair. I'm not sure that's fair to say that he said, you know, they will be alienated.
In politics, there are three key points that you use to drag voters. The most effective is fear. Then the second one is greed. Then the third line is curiosity. These are the three equations that you use. So fear is the most effective. Once you frighten people, they'll blindly go and do something, right? So Peter Obi's central campaign was fear mongering.
A lot of people would say it's hope.
It's fear
that is what a lot of people would say.
Hope. He marketed fear.
I mean, that was your campaign slogan. For the benefit of this conversation, a lot of people would say the president's campaign slogan, the official one, is Emiloko. His sense of entitlement, that it was his turn.
Now,
I mean, renewed hope came after.
I'm coming.
Emiloko came first.
It's a communication that the president did from his zone. And there was a prior arrangement.
That was his original message, wasn't it?
But there was a prior agreement that when the presidency leave the north under Buhari, it is going back to the southwest, most possibly under Tinubu. So what he went there to tell the
I'm not sure Tinubu was
State,
mentioned on...
No, when he went there to tell the elders in Ogun State, Emilokon, was because this is their own turn, and he, rightfully so, is also entitled to it. Not that I'm the only, but I'm entitled to it too, because it is their own turn. And don't forget that state.
Yeah, but interestingly, he didn't say our turn. He said my turn.
It's okay. Isn't it his turn? Now, is he not the president? That's fine now.
The ends justifies the means then.
Yes, it's not the end justifies the means. It happened. It's like I pray that may God give me a station like Trust TV. And I had Trust TV.
I'm just saying that his message was much more outrageous than whatever it is you think Peter Obi was saying in 2023.
No. Peter Obi, I was following, most of people obedient, they are my friends. You know, we started campaigning answers together with them in Lagos. Right? I know them very, very well. The whole thing is about fear. There is a fear that already is implanted in their mind, especially as a consequence of the outcome of NSAS crisis in Lagos in 2020. That's actually what was used. That's the platform that Peter Obi used to galvanize support for his 2023 election. It's NSAS structure. And because the structure has no basis in fact, it broken immediately after losing the election. And now the structure has gone so haywire that they have lost all the steam that they carried, because all the fear that he has marketed to them that could happen to them ended up becoming even for the better for them. And therefore, I think their best choice is to continue with the government.
Some would say you would be unpleasantly surprised in 2027. but let me just get your quick reaction to this one. What do you make of the slogan, Justice for All? Clearly something that would definitely appeal to all Nigerians from all regions. Yeah. The ADA. Yeah,
it's a good thing. You know, it's a good thing. Hey, let there be justice for all.
Right. Okay. Now on the other side,
yes.
On the other side is concerns about INEC's neutrality, right? Because over the past couple of days, there have been questions about whether INEC is as neutral as it needs to be. There were rumored or speculations about 2 new political parties registered. INEC came out and said, listen, nothing of such has happened. We have not registered 2 new political parties. And the CPP in response said, listen, with all the fraternizing with people in government, with the FCT minister over the recent event and what the chairman of INEC had to say, some glowing remarks about Nyesom weekend, things like that. Now there's a concern that the INEC as an institution is not necessarily neutral. Do you believe those concerns are warranted, especially considering how the stakes are quite high at the moment?
I think sometimes we need to upgrade our, moral compass a little bit. Individuals, as humans, we have our priorities naturally, but there is something that checks us, which is the Constitution. Now, what is it that INEC is doing against the Constitution that warrants someone to remove himself from this sense of ideal speculation to come and justify that INEC is not neutral? INEC is obeying the law. Show any of the electoral act that is violated by INEC. None. So it's just ideal speculation. It's just in people's mind. They will just cook story that appeal to them, and then they fire it out. But you look at the institution establishing INEC, what is wrong with what they are doing? Is there anything that they have done that is outside the realm of the law?
This is what the former governor of Rivers State and former minister of transport, Rotimi Amaechi, had to say on Arise Television when he was reacting to this particular development. He said the INEC chairman, the current INEC chairman, he said, quote, if he were the chairman of INEC in 2015, we would not have won. He's talking about the APC. He went further to say that that's an important point. May God bless Atairu Jega, because the ground rules were clear. The current chairman of INEC can only be compared to Iwu, Maurice Iwu, of course, who famously oversaw the worst quote-unquote election in Nigeria's history back in 2007, right? He also added that when we were to register APC, Jega opened the door and we complied with the registration requirements. He got APC registered. The current chairman, if you comply with all this, he would not register you.
That is an opposition statement. It is 100% expected.
Based on facts?
Based on facts. In fact, is it not the same Jega that was insulted, abused, condemned by the North in 2011 when people blame him for allowing Goodluck Jonathan to be the president? Right? So when you are in the opposition, everything is wrong. And it's expected properly. So whatever he said as a Nigerian, now I'm not let's assume not APC, I'm not an APC member. Let's assume I am not even in a politics. Let's assume I'm just an ordinary Nigerian. I have no any affiliation. As a Nigerian, provided he's an opposition, my mind will tell me that this man should say everything wrong about the current system because he wants to take it over. So people should just see it as an opposition statement. It has no anything other than an emotional sentimentalization that will galvanize his base to feel like he is now carrying a banner to go and fight for them in the name of the so-called justice for all.
Yeah,
right? But that's what it is. But it has nothing, no any basis. In fact, it's just an opposition statement.
It's been 7 years since the last registration of a new political party. The last time it was in 2018. I mean, no new political party was registered, and INEC has delisted or deregistered 72 political parties. I mean, don't you think that there is something there? Because, I mean, political association is something that our constitution guarantees.
Yeah.
INEC is simply just overseeing the execution of a constitutional right.
That's very good. That's exactly where the problem is. It's a constitutional right. Go and look at the Electoral Act as amended in 2022. It specified some level of maturity levels and severities that party must meet before they continue to exist as a political party. Otherwise, they are just an association, right? Most of the parties that are deregistered did not meet these requirements. So why do you have to keep them? You have failed to meet the constitutional requirement. INEC have the right, based on the regulation backing them, to enforce the law. And that's what they did by deregistering them. So if ADA, that is now, formally packed itself to get registered in INEC, met the requirement, I'm not sure INEC will refuse to register them. You
know what you know about the Electoral Act. It's not that difficult to register a political party in this country.
Yes, but then there are some criteria to have a political party in Nigeria.
You look at the caliber of the people spearheading this movement, right? Leading this coalition, Atiku Abubakar.
Yes,
I mean, his political career says a lot, right?
Yes.
Rotimi Amaechi, Nasir Rufai, Salu Lukman, a variety of people whose credentials speak volume, right? I mean, surely you're not saying that these people are naive about what it takes to form a new political party.
At all, I'm not sure. I don't think they are naive. And that is why I said the best way for them to do it is to just look at the Electoral Act and comply. If they comply with 100% Electoral Act and INEC refuse to register them, then we can now come back and have a conversation. Right. But for now, they just filed for registration today. Let's see what INEC will say.
What about the rejection by INEC of the notice sent to it by the People's Democratic Party about its National Executive Committee meeting? It said, quote, due to procedural error. And for the most part, Nigerians feel, or at least the people in the PDP feel, this is the referee stepping into the field of play, appearing to have a dog in the fight, playing the card of the people in power. Case in point, the FCT minister.
You see, the thing is this, right? INEC quoted a provision of the law by saying there is a procedural error. And once you have procedural violation, INEC, as a regulatory authorities of political party, should not contain or condone any procedural violation in its activities. And INEC decided to say, no, there's a procedural violation. What you should do is to go back and conform and comply in accordance with the procedure and then bring it back. Have they done so? Did they come back and INEC reject it? So people just like speculation, and they carry something outside the law, put perception in their own mindset, and then keep jumping around to think that that is what is happening. And the opposition are cashing out of this. But what INEC stated is clearly within the governing rules, that establish the INEC as a regulatory body for political parties. So, and they are right within their constitutional right to point out the procedural error. What PDP should do is to go and correct it. So there is nothing like referees stepping into the show. If somebody feels like it's not right, go to court now. And then let the court interpret whether the procedural violation has been made or not.
Yeah, I mean, I know you've been following football. There are times when after the game finishes, the supporters, depending on how they feel about the match, say the referee was actually the man of the match because of some questionable decisions he made during the game. And I feel like INEC is in this position at the moment. Okay. Unfortunately, for want of time, we're going to have to anchor the conversation here. But Adamu Garba, as always, thank you so much for your insightful take on this one.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Abdullahi.
Right. All right. That's our show for you tonight. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Daily Politics returns next week, Monday, live and exclusive on Trust TV. Until next time, I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. For myself and the rest of the team, thank you for watching. We will see you soon.